WWE Evolution, Mickie James and Alicia Fox versus Lita and Trish Stratus. The match was fine. I mean, Lita started the match with Mickie and she wasn't that good. I don't know why. Maybe she didn't do this for a while. But then Alicia Fox came in and she was selling so well. In the match, Lita tagged in Trish Stratus. Trish was on fire. She was taking care of Alicia. And when Mickie came in, the crowd erupted. They loved this because they know the whole feud between Trish and Mickie James. That was a great feud. And then we saw Lita was about to do a moonsault, but Alexa Bliss pushed her. And she landed hard on the canvas while the referee was distracted. Trish did a Stratisfaction for an obvious 3 count, but when the ref turned into Red Shoes from New Japan. Because when Alicia Fox came into the ring, he just stopped counting. Like, why would you do that? I mean, they need to break the count. But he did that because I saw, like, when you really focus on the shot, you can see Mickie James, she's calling Alicia Fox to come in the ring, and she was late. So if I was in her place, I would kick out. Like, what's the problem with kicking out? So even though, he stops counting, but that was fine, because then we see Lita doing a moonsault on both Mickie James and Alicia Fox at the same time, and then Mickie James does the chick kick. And, I'm sorry, Trish Stratus, I'm mixing up Trish and Mickie James for some reason, I don't know why. Trish Stratus did the chick kick on Mickie James, and Mickie sold it so well, like she was dead, and they won the match. The Legends won the match. I wasn't expecting that. I thought the other team would win, but it seems like the rumors are true. Mickie James and Lita, they will continue being on the roster, even though on this show, they didn't announce the tag team titles. And it seems like maybe they will do it on Monday Night Raw. And I think that's a good thing because Monday Night Raw, it doesn't have depth. So they need to have some fillers on the show. And maybe Stephanie McMahon will come out and say, hey, we will have a women's tag team titles to be added to the rosters. But if they do that, I would like those titles to be defended on all the shows. So let's say 1 month it will be on Raw, 1 month it will be on SmackDown, and it should be on NXT too. So we should see more teams on NXT, challenging for the titles. And I think that can be a very interesting and a plus in WWE. Then we had the Women's Battle Royal. Everyone got an entrance. They didn't start the match with everyone in the ring. And the Iconics, they had to talk. They were the last 2 ladies coming out. And fuck that shit. I mean, you know how annoying they are. They came in, they made fun of the Legends, and they said everything is iconic. And as they did that, they got eliminated right away. They were thrown out, in which it made me very, very happy. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, they eliminated my boo, Molly Holly. Then Kelly, Tori Wilson. And Mandy Rose, she pushed Sonya Deville to the outside. Oh my god, her best friend, betraying her. I mean, we see that with every Royal Rumble. Then we saw Nia Jax eliminating Alundra Blaze in the softest way possible. It was so soft. Then Nia throws Maria Kanellis. She has a standoff with Tamina, and they do the Roman Reigns pose, in which it was a nice touch. They did the ooh, ah together, and they laid out everyone in the ring. So Lana comes in between them and says, hey, let's stop fighting and let's dance. And of course, Tamina just waylays her like crazy with a headbutt, and Tamina eliminates Lana. Nia Jax body slams Tamina, and Asuka attacks Nia Jax. So we get an 8-woman suplex spot, in which it was, it kind of reminded me of Liv Morgan's injury, because they did the spot even though she was injured, but that spot was really cool. So Carmella, she stands in the middle of the ring, and she shouts, dance break, and she starts dancing. And as she was dancing, we see Ivory coming to her and saying like, hey, wait. And it looked like Ivory will attack her, but she didn't. And she danced with Carmella, and that was a really, really cool spot to see. And Ivory, she's a good dancer. So as they were doing that, we see Carmella throwing Mandy Rose with the help of Ivory. Ember Moon throws Dana Brooke. Michelle McCool was amazing in the match. I mean, she was. She did a couple of spots so well. It's like she never left. And she gave a big boot to Ember Moon as she was doing a springboard. And then everyone was just attacking each other. Michelle McCool, she got eliminated by Ember Moon with a super kick. Tamina eliminated Naomi. Tornado DDT from Ember Moon to Nia Jax. Carmella botches a head scissors spot that she was doing with Ember Moon, and I say, look, if you can't do it, then don't do it. You don't need to do a new move, especially when you're on pay-per-view, because it's live. And it looked so bad. Anyways, Ember Moon threw out Carmella, and the last 5 were Nia Jax, Tamina, Ivory, Asuka, and Ember Moon. Ivory was in the last 5. So Asuka eliminates Ivory with a hip attack. That looked really cool. Ember Moon eliminates Asuka, and I called bullshit because I wanted Asuka to win. Didn't happen. Spinning side slam from Tamina to Ember Moon, then super kick to Nia Jax. We see an eclipse from Ember Moon to Tamina, and she throws Tamina to the outside. Nia Jax and Ember Moon, they were the last 2, and the crowd was chanting for Ember to win this thing. So Ember was trying to throw Nia Jax to the outside, but it didn't work. And then she tries to suplex Nia Jax to the outside, and I shouted no. I can throw my beliefs and things that doesn't work, like Ember Moon suplexing Nia Jax, but I didn't want to see the spot because that's gonna be so painful. And as she was doing that, we see Zelina Vega coming out of nowhere. I think she just sat on the outside or something, and she throws Nia Jax out. So Ember Moon and Nia Jax, they were on the apron, but she thought she won, but she didn't. Nia Jax goes in, she throws Zelina Vega to the outside. And when she throws Zelina Vega, she lands on Tamina the hard way. And Zelina just lands on her face. And Tamina gets, I think, the knee of Zelina Vega into her nose. And I hope both of them are alright. And the last 2 again, it was Nia Jax and Ember Moon. And guess who wins? Well, Nia Jax does a awesome pop-up power bomb on Ember Moon. And then she throws her to the outside. And Nia Jax wins the Battle Royal. The crowd chants, "You deserve it," and she was about to cry as she was doing this interview with Charlie Caruso. She asked Nia, who would you like to face, after the main event today? She said like she wants to wish the best of luck for Nikki Bella and Ronda Rousey, but whoever it is, she will face them, gladly. But the problem is, I don't know, maybe she doesn't remember this, but I think Ronda Rousey defeated Nia Jax. I mean, she didn't, because there was a cash-in from Alexa Bliss, in which maybe that doesn't work. But, I mean, Ronda Rousey was about to win, I think. She was about to win the match, and then Alexa Bliss came in and she did her thing. That's what I'm thinking of. So, yeah, best of luck to her. Anyways, Io Shirai versus Toni Storm in the finals of the Mae Young Classic. So they changed Io Shirai's song into something much, much worse. I mean, fuck the main roster. Really. The crowd wasn't into the match, of course, because they don't know who these girls are. And they were working their ass off. Toni was working Io first. She was on offense until Io did like a double standing moonsaults and laid out Toni Storm. Toni was on the top rope, but Io does a drop kick and Toni lands on the floor. Then Io follows that with a moonsault to the floor. So after that moment, the crowd got into the match, like, really well. And Toni Storm does a German suplex on the apron, which is the hardest side of the ring, if you guys don't know. And everything just got awesome from there. We see a Storm Zero, in which Io Shirai just kicks out at the count of 2. And a 619 from Io Shirai, followed by a springboard sunset flip for a 2 count. That was crazy. A moonsault from Io Shirai, but Toni Storm gets her knees up and does the a Storm Zero on Io Shirai, and she wins the Mae Young Classic. This was fantastic. It was really cool, and the match was amazing. And I thought like this match will be the match of the night, but no, it wasn't. Because and that's like that's not a bad thing, because this match was so good, and I thought the other matches, wouldn't be able to follow this up, but they did. And anyways, Toni Storm wins, and then we see Stephanie McMahon, of course, showing up there with Triple H and Sarah Amato. They were in the ring. Triple H had the trophy in his hand. Stephanie McMahon gave flowers to Toni Storm, and they were just hugging each other, and Triple H gave Toni Storm the trophy, and she was so happy. She was just, taking everything in. She was smiling to the crowd and having a good time. And Toni Storm, she deserves it. And I talked about this while I was, reviewing every week of the Mae Young Classic, and I enjoyed the show very much. And I kind of feel sad because I won't be able to watch the show again because, it's done and it's a tournament, but we have NXT UK to watch, in which I think that's also a good show. I mean, the UK crowd, those people are the superstars of the show because they are amazing. They get into everything that happens on the show. They know the wrestlers very well. I mean, if you go to any show in the UK, any promotion, you can see the crowd are really, really into the wrestling. And that by itself is just fantastic. Really good. So, the Riot Squad versus Sasha Banks, Natalya, and Bayley. The match wasn't bad. I mean, the Riot Squad came out, they had the Halloween costumes on, which was just amazing. And they worked on Bayley for a while. Sasha Banks came in and took care of Ruby with the Meteora. Bayley to Bayley, but Liv Morgan pushes Sasha Banks into them to stop the pin. Sasha Banks does a dive to the outside, but all three Riot Squad members, they catch Sasha Banks midair and they ram her into the barricade, which looked very painful. After that, you can see Ruby Riot. She was about to do the top rope senton, but Bayley covers up Sasha Banks. Like she just hugs her while she was laying there. And Ruby Riot does the senton anyways. And it was a 2 count because Sasha Banks kicked out. Natalya came in and does a German suplex, body slams Ruby on Sarah Logan, and does a double sharpshooter on both of them. And Liv Morgan, she comes in and she saves the day by doing her side codebreaker for a 2 count, top rope elbow from Bayley, and a frog splash from Sasha Banks for the win. This match was good. It was a good match, and I wasn't expecting it to be good, but it really was. And by the way, the crowd in this show was a good crowd. I mean, they say, that city and the Nassau Coliseum, maybe the crowd in that, in that stadium, they won't be much into it, but they were, and they were hot. And half of the crowd were fans of Nikki Bella. Yeah, I promise you, if you didn't watch the show, just listen to the crowd. Like, they weren't cheering anything. The only thing they were just cheering for were Nikki and Brie Bella. I mean, the Bella army, seems like it's a true thing. They just love the Bella twins. I don't know why. So the NXT Women's Championship match between Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler. Man. So I told you guys that in the Mae Young Classic, the finals, it would be the best match. And I thought, no other match can top that. But it did. I mean, this match topped that. It was so freaking awesome. It was so good. And on top of that, Kairi Sane looked so hot. Because she's my waifu, of course. They went back and forth, and Shayna Baszler was just... man, she was twisting the hand of Kairi Sane in such a painful way that I was feeling the pain, and she was stomping on it. She did that twice, and I thought she just broke Kairi Sane's hand. I mean, I'm just happy she didn't. And the crowd was so into Kairi Sane. They were cheering Kairi Sane so badly, and they knew her spots and all her moves. And Shayna Baszler was just booed, which is the natural thing to do. The heel gets booed, and the babyface gets cheered. So they go to the outside, and as they were just brawling on the outside, you can see Kairi Sane throwing Shayna Baszler into her friends who were sitting on ringside. Jasmine Duke and Marina Shafir. So as Kairi Sane was about to go away, Jasmine Duke holds the hand of Kairi Sane, but Kairi Sane punches Jasmine Duke in the face, and the referee was distracted for some reason. When she goes in the ring, she was attacking and doing her thing on Shayna Baszler. So she takes out Shayna Baszler, and as she was going up to the top rope to do the insane elbow, you see Marina Shafir going there, distracting Kairi Sane, but Kairi Sane took care of her. And as she went into the ring, she was, going back and forth with Shayna Baszler. But when she pins Shayna Baszler, and when she kicks out, you can see Jasmine Duke punching Kairi Sane in the face. And when she goes back to the ring, Shayna Baszler applies the Karafuda clutch on Kairi Sane. And I thought, man, it's coming to an end. That's it. Shayna Baszler, she would win the NXT Women's title. She would do it. And she was applying that, but Kairi Sane was fighting and fighting and fighting and doing her utmost best. But she just fades away. And as she faded away, my heart faded away with Kairi Sane losing the match and Shayna Baszler winning the NXT Women's title. The match was really good. It was fantastic, everything from selling, Kairi Sane was selling like crazy with the interference that I didn't think, like it was the right type of interference, so it wasn't like blatant, it was just touches, coming here and there, and I think with Jasmine Duke and Marina Shafir being in the mix, that's gonna be a cool thing to have. I think they will be showing up on NXT even more now, because they played the part of Shayna Baszler winning the title. And after the show, we see there was this interview on WWE.com and on YouTube. So Shayna Baszler was doing this interview saying, look, Kairi Sane didn't win the match when she won the title. I lost to her. And as she was doing this thing, you can see Kairi Sane from, like far away saying, Shayna Baszler. And there was this guy, like a geek, holding Kairi Sane back. And I was like, don't touch her. Don't touch my waifu. But, yeah, so it seems like it's going to continue between them. And I don't mind that because this match was great. I mean, look, Io Shirai versus Toni Storm, that was a 4 stars match. And this match was 4 1/4. Yeah, 4 1/4 match. It was really good. Really, really good. So, Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's title in the last woman standing match. Becky was so over in this match, and Charlotte was booed like crazy. So Becky was working on Charlotte with Mike Chioda, as every time Charlotte was down, he was counting, even if it was for a 2 count, because it's the last woman standing, he has to count. So Becky threw out Charlotte and she attacked her with a kendo stick, and Charlotte tried to block, but she couldn't do that at all. She couldn't succeed because Becky knew where to attack. Even she was a little gentle with the attacks. I know, like, they are best friends and everything, but she couldn't do a damn thing about it. Then we see Becky Lynch attacking Charlotte Flair with a chair, and as she was doing that, the crowd chanted, "You deserve it." That's amazing. I mean, I loved the crowd on the show. They were smart fans. And Becky attacking Charlotte with the chair, they chanted, "You deserve it." That was amazing. That's so good. And then we see Becky Lynch, throwing Charlotte on the pile of chairs. And I think the whole idea of, Becky Lynch attacking Charlotte Flair with the weapons was to get sympathy for Charlotte Flair. That was the whole idea of the booking. But it backfired, because when she was doing that, the crowd thought she's a badass and she is kicking ass attacking Charlotte Flair. Which is true. It's very true. And, oh man, I don't get it. I mean, they did a lot of stuffs, a lot of spots in the ring. Charlotte brought out the ladder, and she did a figure 4, like putting the legs of Becky Lynch inside the ladder, and then she turned it into the figure 8, and that looked so painful, but Becky Lynch tapped out. But of course that doesn't count because it is the last woman standing match. And then they went to the outside, they set up a ladder, and as it was set up, you can see Charlotte Flair, she was laid on one of the announcers' tables, and Becky Lynch goes to the top, and I thought, man, she will do a leg drop, but I think Charlotte Flair will move. And she does the leg drop, and Charlotte doesn't move, and she crashes and burns into the announcer's table. That looked so brutal, and Charlotte Flair just stands up on the count of 9 and tells Becky, "Is that all you got?" Becky goes crazy. She puts chairs on her. I think even Renee Young's chair, she puts it on Charlotte Flair, and Charlotte just stands up like Frankenstein on the count of 9, and they go inside the ring. She puts Becky Lynch on one of the tables. She goes to the top. She does a moonsault on Becky Lynch, but the table doesn't break. And on that exact moment, I shouted, "I am the table." But no, Charlotte did something really cool after this. Like, she puts Becky Lynch back on the table. She goes to the top rope, and this time does a senton to make the table break. And that spot on its own got me a lot of respect for Charlotte Flair, because that was a really smart thing to do. You go back and do it again. She didn't just give up, because some of them, they do that, the table doesn't break, they just continue. She didn't do that. She did it again, and it was a very good spot to do. So they were just brawling, even on the outside, as Becky Lynch, once she thought that she would just run away with the title, they brawled like between the crowd. So they came into the ring, and Charlotte was at the top rope. So Becky was laid on a table on the outside. She goes to the top rope, but Becky goes to her, gives her a power bomb into the table, and Becky Lynch retains the SmackDown Women's title. I said this before, Becky Lynch needs to move on with someone new. And there is someone new on SmackDown. She can feud with Asuka for a while. But this feud, I was done with this feud. I didn't want to see a match between them again. And for them to do so, but there was one thing. I don't know, maybe it's a nitpick or not. But as Becky Lynch was holding Charlotte to do the powerbomb, Mike was telling Charlotte something. And I think what he was telling her, like, okay, Becky will give you the powerbomb, don't get up, and let Becky win. I don't know if they changed the finish in the middle of the match, and they said, fuck it, we're gonna give it to Becky Lynch. Because one thing also that I noticed is that the announcers, they were praising Becky Lynch as a babyface after she won. They said, oh, she proved everyone wrong, and she is a great champion, so they were making her a babyface for some reason, I don't know why, but they did. So, let's see how it goes. I don't know, maybe Dave Meltzer will talk about this and say, oh, they changed the finish, Charlotte was about to win, or she was slated to win. But I'm so happy with this finish, because I want to see something new, and Charlotte should move on and feud with someone else, and even Becky, she should do some matches with other wrestlers. So the main event, Ronda Rousey versus Nikki Bella for the Raw Women's title. There was a lot of Brie Bella interference throughout the match. Ronda did this spot of Nikki Bella being on her, and then she puts Brie Bella on top of Nikki, and she gives them the spinning Samoan drop onto the mat, and that looked awesome. Nikki tries to run away, but as she was running away, Ronda was going after Nikki, and Brie Bella attacks Ronda Rousey on the outside as the referee was distracted. Then Ronda Rousey goes into the ring. Nikki Bella gives her an Alabama Slam for a 2 count. They go back and forth, and then Nikki Bella does the rack attack. And as she does that, my heart stops for a second. I was like, fuck, Nikki Bella is winning the title. Thankfully, Ronda Rousey kicked out. She did her armbar perfectly. When I mean perfectly is that it wasn't perfect at all, because they were on the top rope. She does the roll thing to come down and land on the mat, but it didn't go well because Nikki Bella slammed the mat so hard, and I felt like maybe she got injured or something. So she did the armbar on her, and Nikki Bella just, the second she applies it, she taps out, and Ronda Rousey retains the Raw Women's title. This was a fine match. I liked it. So, after the celebration and the pay-per-view and everything, we see Ronda Rousey with all the girls, even girls from NXT. They were on the ramp and they celebrated together. So, my thoughts on the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view was good. I mean, it overachieved. I had some expectations going into the pay-per-view itself, and like I thought the Battle Royal wouldn't be good, but it was good. It had some cool spots in it. The opener, the tag team match between Lita and Trish versus Mickie James and Alicia Fox was great. So overall, I mean, this gives me a solid thumbs up for the show because the show was really good, and I think they should continue doing this. Every year we should see a pay-per-view that's only female-based, and they should do that because they have a 10-year deal with Saudi Arabia. So every year, you know, before the Saudi show, they should do the all women's pay-per-view. And I think it's a good thing. It's really good.